Do you never seem to have any money left over at the end of the month? Well, in this video I will reveal the 7 principles of wealth, or as called in the book, the 7 cures to a lean purse. This is 4,000-year-old wisdom from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Make sure to watch until the end because the 7th cure is the most important one. I've made 2 videos before this, so if you're interested in them, the first one was a simplification of the book where I just set the stage for these upcoming videos, telling you what's in the book and what I'm going to talk about. And the second video was all my highlights from the book, which was quite a long one, but it's like stories and important parts from the book. So if you want to watch them, then you could probably watch them before this if you want to, and I'll put them top right. But make sure to come back here after to find the rest of the information. The first cure to a lean purse is start thy purse to fattening. So I'm going to be reading short stories from each part of the book. So this is from the first principle, from the first cure to a lean purse. Start thy purse to fattening. Arcad addresses a thoughtful man in the second row. My good friend, at what craft workest thou? I am a scribe, and carve records upon the clay tablets, replied the man. Even at such labour did I myself earn my first coppers. Therefore, thou hast the same opportunity to build a fortune, Arcad said. He spoke to another man. Pray, tell also what dost thou to earn thy bread? I am a meat butcher. I do buy the goats the farmers raise and kill them, and sell the meat to the housewives, and the hides to the sandal makers. Because thou dost also labour and earn, thou hast every advantage to succeed that I did possess, Arcad responded. Arcad then turned to a humble man who had declared himself an egg merchant. If thou select one of thy baskets and put into it each morning 10 eggs and take out from it each evening 9 eggs, what will eventually happen? It will become in time overflowing, the man answered. Why? Because each day I put in 1 more egg than I take out. Arcad smiled at the class. Does any man here have a lean purse? First they looked amused. Then they laughed and waved their purses in jest. All right, he continued. Now I shall tell thee the first remedy I learned to cure a lean purse. Do exactly as I have suggested to the egg merchant. For every 10 coins thou placed within thy purse, take out for use but 9. Thy purse will start to fatten at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in thy hand and bring satisfaction to thy soul. Deride not what I say because of its simplicity. Truth is always simple. I told thee I would tell how I built my fortune. This was my beginning. I too carried a lean purse and cursed it because there was naught within to satisfy my desires. But when I began to take out from my purse but 9 parts of 10 I put in, it began to fatten. So will thine. Now I will tell a strange truth, the reason for which I know not. When I ceased to pay out more than 9/10 of my earnings, I managed to get along just as well. Also, ere long, did coins come to me more easily than before. Surely it's a law of the gods, that unto him who keepeth and spendeth not a certain part of all his earnings, shall gold come more easily. Likewise, him whose purse is empty does gold avoid. Which desirest thou the most? Is it the gratification of thy desires of each day? A jewel, a bit of finery, better raiment, more food, things quickly gone and forgotten? Or is it substantial belongings, gold, lands, herds, merchandise, income-bringing investments? The coins thou takest from thy purse bring the first. The coins thou leavest within it will bring the latter. This, my students, was the first cure I did discover for my lean purse. For each 10 coins I put in, to spend but 9. Debate this amongst yourselves. If any man proves it untrue, tell me upon the morrow, when we shall meet again. So, to put it into English language, save 10% of your earnings every single month, no matter what, and do not dip into it. The second principle of wealth, or second cure to a lean purse, is control thy expenditures. Some of your members, my students, have asked me this: how can a man keep 1/10 of all he earns in his purse when all the coins he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? So did Arcad address his students upon the second day. Yesterday, how many of thee carried lean purses? All of us, answered the class. Yet thou do not all earn the same. Some earn much more than others. Some have much larger families to support. Yet all purses were equally lean. Now I will tell thee an unusual truth about men and sons of men. It is this: that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes, unless we protest to the contrary. Confuse not the necessary expenses with thy desires. Each of you, together with your good families, have more desires than your earnings can gratify. Therefore, are thy earnings spent to gratify these desires, in so far as they will go. Still, thou retainest many ungratified desires. So it's saying, work out what's actually necessary and what are actually just desires. Like your Netflix isn't necessary, your coffees, whatever coffees you have, aren't necessary. However, food and specific clothing, you don't need designer clothing, you need clothing that covers you or keeps you warm. The next part of this same part is, study thoughtfully thy accustomed habits of living. Herein may be most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let thy motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. Therefore, engrave upon the clay each thing for which thou desireth to spend. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of 9/10 of thy income. Cross out the rest and consider them but a part of that great multitude of desires that must go unsatisfied, and regret them not. Budget then thy necessary expenses. Touch not the 1/10 that is fattening thy purse. Let this be thy great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with thy budget. Keep adjusting it to help thee. Make it thy first assistant in defending thy fattening purse. Hereupon, one of the students, wearing a robe of red and gold, arose and said, I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore do I rebel against the slavery of a budget which determines just how much I may spend and for what. I feel it would take much pleasure from my life and make me little more than a pack ass to carry a burden. To him Arkad replied, Who, my friend, would determine thy budget? I would make it for myself, responded the protesting one. In that case, were a pack-ass to budget his burden, would he include therein jewels and rugs and heavy bars of gold? Not so. He would include hay and grain and a bag of water for the desert trail. The purpose of a budget is to help thy purse to fatten. It is to assist thee to have thy necessities and, in so far as attainable, thy other desires. It is to enable thee to realise thy most cherished desires by defending them from thy casual wishes. Like a bright light in a dark cave, thy budget shows up the leaks from thy purse and enables thee to stop them and control thy expenditures for definite and gratifying purposes. This then is the second cure for a lean purse. Budget thy expenses, that thou mayest have coins to pay for thy necessities, to pay for thy enjoyments and to gratify them worthwhile desires, without spending more than 9/10 of thy earnings. So there's a big misconception here that people think you have to not enjoy life to make money, for example, or to be healthy, all these different things. But it's not that, it's just working out things that you don't actually need and that very temporarily make you happy and give you instant gratification, but that's it. They don't give you fulfillment, they don't make you a better person, they don't do anything for you apart from that instant bit of dopamine when you buy something, or with certain things like designer clothing or a certain car, it's how you look on the outside to other people. But what's that matter if you've got a Ferrari but then no money to go on holiday, be free, or enjoy life, or eat good healthy food? Number 3 is make thy gold multiply. Behold thy lean purse is fattening. Thou hast disciplined thyself to leave therein 1/10 of all thou earnest. Thou hast controlled thy expenditures to protect thy growing treasure. Next we will consider means to put thy treasure to labour and to increase. Gold in a purse is gratifying to own, and satisfieth a miserly soul, but earns nothing. The gold we may retain from our earnings is but the start. The earnings it will make shall build our fortunes. So spoke Arkad upon the third day to his class. How therefore may we put our gold to work? My first investment was unfortunate, for I lost all. Its tale I will relate later. My first profitable investment was a loan I made to a man named Agar, a shield maker. Once each year did he buy large shipments of bronze brought from across the sea to use in his trade. Lacking sufficient capital to pay the merchants, he would borrow from those who had extra coins. He was an honourable man. His borrowing he would repay, together with a liberal rental, as he sold his shields. Each time I loaned to him, I loaned back also the rental he had paid to me. Therefore, not only did my capital increase, but its earnings likewise increased. Most gratifying was it to have these sums returned to my purse. I tell you, my students, now I've highlighted this because it's very important, a man's wealth is not the coins he carries in his purse, it is the income he buildeth, the golden stream that continually floweth into his purse, and keepeth it always bulging. That is what every man desireth. That is what thou, each one of thee, desireth. An income that continueth to come, whether thou work or travel. Now that's another one. With today's day and age, any work, like actual work, well, most actual work, you have to be in a set specific place, specific time, clocking in, clocking out, and you do get paid partly when you go on holiday, but you can only have 4 weeks, in some places only 2, and in some places more, like if you're in education. But anyway, so investments, they pay you while you sleep, they pay you while you're away, and in this day and age, social media, online earnings, they pay you from anywhere in the world, so you can be on holiday, and again, you can be sleeping and getting paid for it. Great income I have acquired, so great that I am called a very rich man. My loans to Agar were my first training in profitable investment. Gaining wisdom from this experience, I extended my loans and investments as my capital increased. From a few sources at first, from many sources later, flowed into my purse a golden stream of wealth, available for such wise uses as I should decide. Behold, from my humble earnings I had begotten a horde of golden slaves, each labouring and earning more gold. As they laboured for me, so their children also laboured, and their children's children, until great was the income from their combined efforts. So it's not actual slaves, although they did have slaves in this time. It means your gold, your own money, can then work for you to make more money. Gold increaseth rapidly when making reasonable earnings, as thou wilt see from the following. A farmer, when his first son was born, took 10 pieces of silver to a moneylender and asked him to keep it on rental for his son until he became 20 years of age. This the moneylender did, and agreed the rental should be 1/4 of its value each 4 years. The farmer asked, because this sum he had set aside as belonging to his son, that the rental be add to the principal. When the boy had reached the age of 20 years, the farmer again went to the moneylender to inquire about the silver. The moneylender explained that because this sum had been increased by compound interest, the original 10 pieces of silver had grown to 30 1/2 pieces. The farmer was well pleased, and because the son did not need the coins, he left them with the moneylender. When the son became 50 years of age, the father, meantime, having passed to the other world, the moneylender paid the son in settlement 167 pieces of silver. Thus, in 50 years, had the investment multiplied itself at rental almost 17 times. This, then, is the third cure for a lean purse: to put each coin to labouring, that it may reproduce its kind, even as the flocks of the field, and help bring to thee income, a stream of wealth that shall flow constantly into thy purse. Number 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Misfortune loves a shining mark. Gold in a man's purse must be guarded with firmness, else it be lost. Thus, it is wise that we must first secure small amounts and learn to protect them before the gods entrust us with larger. So spoke Arkad upon the 4th day to his class. Every owner of gold is tempted by opportunities whereby it would seem that he would make large sums by its investment in most plausible projects. Often friends and relatives are eagerly entering such investments and urge him to follow. The first sound principle of investment is security for thy principal. It is wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost. I say not. The penalty of risk is probable loss. Study carefully before parting with thy treasure, each assurance that it may be safely reclaimed. Be not misled by thine own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly. Before thou loan it to any man, assure thyself of his ability to repay and his reputation for doing so, that thou mayest not unwittingly be making him a present of thy hard-earned treasure. Before thou entrust it as an investment in any field, acquaint thyself with the dangers which may beset it. My own first investment was a tragedy to me at the time. The guarded savings of a year did I entrust to a brickmaker named Asmur, who was travelling over the far seas, and in Tyre agreed to buy for me the rare jewels of the Phoenicians. These we would sell upon his return and divide the profits. The Phoenicians were scoundrels, and sold him bits of glass. My treasure was lost. Today my training would show to me at once the folly of entrusting a brickmaker to buy jewels. Therefore do I advise thee, from the wisdom of my experiences, be not too confident of thine own wisdom in entrusting thy treasures to the possible pitfalls of investments. Better by far to consult the wisdom of those experienced in handling money for profit. Such advice is freely given for the asking, and may readily possess a value equal in gold to the sum thou considerest investing. In truth, such is its actual value, if it save thee from loss. This then is the fourth cure for a lean purse, and a great importance if it prevent thy purse from being emptied once it has become well filled. Guard thy treasures from loss by investing only where the principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desirable, and there thou wilt not fail to collect a fair rental. Consult with wise men. Secure the advice of those experienced in the profitable handling of gold. Let their wisdom protect thy treasure from unsafe investments. It says something on the lines in the book of, would you go to the brickmaker to ask about farming, or would you go to the sandal maker about the stars? And it's pretty much saying that you should go to who's qualified in that information. So if you want to learn about making money, you'd go to the banker. If you want to learn about the stars, you'd go to the astrologer. And that's what it's saying. And this then just pushes the point of nowadays going to business school to learn from a teacher that's a teacher. He doesn't own a business. Or listening to teachers at school about anything to do with money or business. They're teachers, they don't know. Or listening to your parents about money and life, or about getting rich. If they're not rich themselves, how can they tell you how to get rich? And then lastly, the guy at the pub that's waffling about money or telling you should or shouldn't do this, or you should invest in this. What do they know? Number 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. If a man setteth aside 9 parts of his earnings upon which to live and enjoy life, and if any part of this 9 parts he can turn into a profitable investment without detriment to his well-being, then so much faster will his treasures grow. So spoke Arcad to his class at their 5th lesson. All too many of our men of Babylon do raise their families in unseemly quarters. They do pay to exacting landlords liberal rentals for rooms where their wives have not a spot to raise the blooms that gladden a woman's heart, and their children have no place to play their games except in the unclean alleys. No man's family can fully enjoy life unless they do have a plot of ground wherein children can play in the clean earth, and where the wife may raise not only blossoms but good rich herbs to feed her family. To a man's heart it brings gladness to eat the figs from his own trees and the grapes from his own vines, to own his own docile, and to have it a place he is proud to care for, putteth confidence in his heart, and greater effort behind all his endeavours. Therefore do I recommend that every man own the roof that sheltereth him and his. Nor is it beyond the ability of any well-intentioned man to own his home. Hath not our great king so widely extended the walls of Babylon, that within them much land is now unused and may be purchased at sums most reasonable? Also I say to you, my students, that the moneylenders gladly consider the desires of men who seek homes and land for their families. Readily may thou borrow to pay the brickmaker and the builder for such commendable purposes, if thou canst show a reasonable portion of the necessary sum which thou thyself hast provided for the purpose. Then, when the house he built, thou canst pay the moneylender with the same regularity as thou didst pay the landlord, because each payment will reduce thy indebtedness to the moneylender. A few years will satisfy his loan. Then will thy heart be glad, because thou wilt own in thy own right a valuable property, and thy only cost will be the king's taxes. Also wilt thy good wife go more often to the river to wash thy robes, that each time returning she may bring a goat skin of water to pour upon the growing things. Thus come many blessings to the man who owneth his own house, and greatly will it reduce his costs of living, making available more of his earnings for pleasure and the gratification of his desires. This then is the 5th cure for a lean purse. Own thy own home. So this isn't a topic for today, but I've left a note in here that in the future I may touch on this, but just on how times have changed on this advice. So subscribe for future knowledge I shall bring thee. The old language is coming out. Number 6. Ensure a future income. The life of every man proceedeth from his childhood to his old age. This is the path of life, and no man may deviate from it unless the gods call him prematurely to the world beyond. Therefore do I say that it behooves a man to make preparation for a suitable income in the days to come, when he is no longer young, and to make preparation for his family should he be no longer with them, to comfort and support them. This lesson shall instruct thee in providing a full purse when time has made thee less able to learn. So Arcad addresses his class upon the 6th day. The man who, because of his understanding of the laws of wealth, acquireth a growing surplus, should give thought to those future days. He should plan certain investments or provision that may endure safely for many years, yet will be available when the time arrives which he has so wisely anticipated. There are diverse ways by which a man may provide with safety for his future. He may provide a hiding place and there bury a secret treasure. Yet, no matter with what skill it be hidden, it may nevertheless become the loot of thieves. For this reason, I recommend not this plan. A man may buy houses or lands for this purpose. If wisely chosen as to their usefulness and value in the future, they are permanent in their value, and their earnings for their sale will provide well for his purpose. A man may loan a small sum to the moneylender and increase it at regular periods. The rental which the moneylender adds to this will largely add to its increase. I do know a sandal maker named Anson who explained to me not long ago that each week for 8 years he had deposited with his moneylender 2 pieces of silver. The moneylender had but recently given him an accounting over which he greatly rejoiced. The total of his small deposit with their rental at the customary rate of 1/4 their value for each 4 years had now become 1,040 pieces of silver. I did gladly encourage him further by demonstrating to him with my knowledge of numbers that in 12 years more, if he keep his regular deposits of but 2 pieces of silver each week, the moneylender would then owe him 4,000 pieces of silver, a worthy competence for the rest of life. Surely when such a small payment made with regularity doth produce such profitable results, no man can afford not to insure a treasure for his old age and the protection of his family, no matter how prosperous his business and his investments may be. I would that I might say more about this. In my mind rests a belief that some day wise-thinking men will devise a plan to insure against death, whereby many men pay in but a trifling sum regularly to aggregate, making a handsome sum for the family of each member who passeth to the beyond. So pretty much like life insurance that we have today. But because we live in our own day and not in the days which are to come, must we take advantage of those means and ways of accomplishing our purpose. Therefore do I recommend to all men that they, by wise and well thought out methods, do provide against a lean purse in their mature years. For a lean purse to a man no longer able to earn, or to a family without its head, is a sore tragedy. This then is a 6th cure for a lean purse. Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family. Number 7, increase thy ability to earn. Now this is the most important one, so listen carefully. This day do I speak to thee, my students, of one of the most vital remedies for a lean purse. Yet I will talk not of gold, but of yourselves, of the men beneath the robes of many colours, who do sit before me. I will talk to you of those things within the minds and lives of men which do work for or against their success. So did Arcad address his class upon the 7th day. Not long ago, come to me a young man seeking to borrow. When I questioned him the cause of his necessity, he complained that his earnings were insufficient to pay his expenses. Thereupon I explained to him, this being the case, he was a poor customer for the moneylender, as he possessed no surplus earning capacity to repay the loan. What you need, young man, I told him, is to earn more coins. What dost thou to increase thy capacity to earn? All that I can do, he replied. 6 times within 2 months have I approached my master to request my pay be increased, but without success. No man can go oftener than that. We may smile at his simplicity, yet he did possess one of the vital requirements to increase his earnings. Within him was a strong desire to earn more, a proper and commendable desire. Preceding accomplishment must be desire. Thy desires must be strong and definite. General desires are but weak longings. For a man to wish to be rich is of little purpose. For a man to desire 5 pieces of gold is a tangible desire which he can press to fulfilment. After he has backed his desire for 5 pieces of gold with strength of purpose to secure it, next he can find similar ways to obtain 10 pieces, and then 20 pieces, and later 1,000 pieces, and, behold, he has become wealthy. In learning to secure his one definite small desire, he hath trained himself to secure a larger one. This is the process by which wealth is accumulated, first in small sums, then in larger ones as a man learns to become more capable. Desires must be simple and definite. They defeat their own purpose should they be too many, too confusing, or beyond a man's training to accomplish. As a man perfecteth himself in his calling, even so doth his ability to earn increase. In those days when I was a humble scribe carving upon the clay for a few coppers each day, I observed that other workers did more than I and were paid more. Therefore did I determine that I would be exceeded by none. Nor did it take long for me to discover the reason for their greater success. More interest in my work, more concentration upon my task, more persistence in my effort, and behold, few men could carve more tablets in a day than I. With reasonable promptness, my increased skill was rewarded, nor was it necessary for me to go 6 times to my master to request recognition. The more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. That man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded. If he is an artisan, he may seek to learn the methods and the tools of those most skilful in the same line. If he laboureth at the law, or at healing, he may consult and exchange knowledge with others of his calling. If he be a merchant, he may continually seek better goods that can be purchased at lower prices. Always do the affairs of men change and improve because keen-minded men seek greater skill, that they may better serve those upon whose patronage they depend. Therefore I urge all men to be in the front rank of progress and not to stand still, lest they be left behind. Many things come to make a man's life rich with gainful experiences, such things as the following. A man must do if he respect himself. Now I highlight this as well because it's important. He must pay his debts with all the promptness within his power, not purchasing that for which he is unable to pay. So that's a big thing today where people just keep buying things on finance and never own anything, or they go to university or college and they've got debts, and in America they never really pay it back. He must take care of his family that they may think and speak well of him. He must make a will of record that, in case the gods call him, proper and honourable division of his property be accomplished. He must have compassion upon those who are injured and smitten by misfortune, and aid them with reasonable limits. He must do deeds of thoughtfulness to those did him. Thus the 7th and last remedy for a lean purse is to cultivate thy own powers, to study and become wiser, to become more skilful, to so act as to respect thyself. Thereby shalt thou acquire confidence in thyself to achieve thy carefully considered desires. So again, in the context of nowadays, school and university should not be the end of your education, because if it is, then that you've learned is the only thing you're ever going to learn, and you're going to be sat doing the same thing, earning the same money, and not really get any further ahead or getting any more wisdom or increasing your ability to earn. These then are the 7 cures for a lean purse, which, out of the experience of a long and successful life, I do urge for all men who desireth wealth. There is more gold in Babylon, my students, than thou dreamest of. There is abundance for all. Go thou forth and practice these truths that thou mayest prosper and grow wealthy, as is thy right. Go thou forth and teach these truths that every honourable subject of his majesty may also share liberally in the ample wealth of our beloved city. This book has great advice on wealth building, so if you want to read the whole book, then that link is top of the description. Subscribe for upcoming videos on this book. And you know the saying, health is wealth, so this video on screen can help with the former. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.